Now I know we're the marketing company stoymedia.com, but here's 3 sales tips that we've learned for home service sales from clients, from online. So let me just give them to you. Like I said, I know we're the marketing people, so take these with a grain of salt, but let me know if these are helpful down in the comments. Number 1, introduce the salesman to the homeowner. This is something we heavily preach inside of Stoy Media. All of the automations are set up so that you're kind of introducing the new point of contact to the homeowner. And that's really the whole point. When appointment setter books an appointment on the salesman's calendar, have the salesman call, introduce himself, ask them a little bit more about the project. Now, obviously, the appointment setter probably would have asked them, but possibly send them a summary to the salesman, or have the salesman re-ask if you don't want to set up the infrastructure for that. And have the salesman have a couple pieces of content loaded up. So then if they're saying, oh, I'm actually looking for a replacement, send them a couple blogs or videos that you guys have made like this, talking about the different types of shingles. What colors are best for a replacement? What best improves curb appeal? Maybe, like I said, like you could also look on Google Maps and see what does their current roof color look like, and then send them a couple photos of roofs you've done that have a similar siding color, but a better roof color. Like, you understand what I'm trying to say. Have the salesman introduce himself to the HO, which is, I'll just abbreviate, homeowner. Have him introduce himself and send over some contact, because that way you can beat objections before the salesperson even shows up. You can build that trust, which is kind of the 2 really important things that are required in a sale. The homeowner has to like the salesperson and they have to trust the salesperson, and that's it. The pricing, obviously, you can work that out. There's a reason these private equity-backed roofing companies, remodeling companies, any home service business, there's a reason why these private equity-backed home services that charge insane prices haven't gone out of business yet. And it's because you can still do it. And don't get me wrong, I do not condone you jacking up the price just to get more out of homeowners, but you can charge like 10% more than your competition and be just fine if you are able to be trustworthy. Because obviously, a $50 million roofing company is going to charge more than a $1 million one, because they have less overhead. They have less operational constraints. You understand what I'm trying to say? So you can charge a little bit more because of your size, but still win the sale because you're trustworthy. They like you, and you've done more than most people. 90% of salesmen do not introduce themselves to the homeowner, and it's probably because they don't realize the marginal increase in close rate. Anyways, the second question, or the second tip, would be quote in person. I really don't know how else to bring this across. If you're able to quote someone in person, the chances of them making a decision right there in their house is a lot larger, because you actually give them the quote in person. And I know I've made so many LinkedIn posts about this. Stop showing up, being an order taker, just taking a couple measurements, saying, hey, I'm here to take a couple measurements. I'm from blank roofing company. I'm from blank remodeling company. And then email them a quote a couple days later or a week later. The thing is, who first of all checks their personal email? I know I don't check it nearly as much as business. Obviously, you as a business owner, maybe you check your email more. But a lot of, honestly, homeowners just don't check their email that much. And number 2, even if they do check their email, which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure they check their email more than you may think, Google has been increasing their spam filters like crazy. Any email campaigns that anyone tries to do get flagged a lot faster than last year. And all that's happening is just getting better and better. And so when you send a homeowner an invoice or an estimate that you've sent to like 100 other homeowners, eventually you start landing in spam. And the problem is, you don't know if you're landing in spam. You don't know if you're landing in spam at all. And so you don't even know if you might have landed in spam. You even showed up in the inbox. Maybe 10 other of their newsletter signups that they have also sent them an email at that time. So you're like at number 10, minus the fact that, they've got like, all these other emails ahead that may be possibly more important. Best case scenario, if you can't quote in person, which a simple solution to this would probably be using the instant quoting tools that there already is online, plus a physical inspection. Now, if you're a roofing company, this is what I'm referring to, those instant quoting tools, plus like a physical inspection to see the decking. But if you're a remodeling company or a window company, well, windows and all those are a little bit easier, don't get me wrong, but like remodeling, I feel like it's a little bit more complex. Just have them come into the showroom a couple days later. Same thing with roofing. If you can't instant quote, or any home service business, if you can't instant quote, set up a second appointment where you show up with a quote, where you show up with a price, because then you're able to do the objection handling. You're able to do all these different things, which you can't do objection handling. You can't persuade them. You can't make the money make sense. You can't do all these sales tricks that you've been learning, or maybe you've been taught, or whatever. You can't do those if you don't have a price. You can't start objection handling on no price. And if you just give them a random number, what if that's too high? What if that's too low? So like you can't do any objection handling, and sure, you also can't objection handle over email, just to make that clear. So my best recommendation, if you cannot instant quote, set up a second appointment where you show up with a price. So for example, for remodeling, it's a lot easier. Like for remodeling cabinets, something more complex where it involves measurements and designs, just set up a in-home inspection, or in-home measurement, I mean, where you measure their bathroom, their kitchen, their cabinets, whatever it is, and then set up a second appointment 5 days later, or honestly as fast as you possibly could, where you're gonna have the quote prepared, you're gonna have some materials to be able to show them, which is actually the second thing, so I guess I'll spoil it already. Show and hand the homeowner the materials. This is a sales trick that we learned off of YouTube. I saw a different salesman saying, like, I can't believe nobody else does this. When you're selling them a roof or a remodel, show them the materials that they're purchasing. Like, let them feel it. For example, for roofing, it's not something that you think the homeowner really is able to like experience, if that makes sense. You can't really experience a new roof. You can just experience it not leaking. And if you can, while you're selling the roof, hand the homeowner a shingle and say, this is what we're going to install on your roof. Or if you're shooting for something a lot more premium, handing them the DaVinci, handing them the Brava, handing them whatever you're putting on, puts a lot more physical purchase behind their purchase. Because to someone who is purchasing a roof, for example, they are just simply gonna have a roof. Like, that's it. Like, there's gonna be people who show up, tear it off, put on the new one, and that's it. They never feel it, they never get near it. It's kind of like buying a course almost, because you can't tangibly hold a course. Understand? So allowing the homeowner to feel what they're purchasing allows you to just have, it's almost like a mental shortcut almost, because you're physically buying something. Yeah, does that kind of make sense? I hope that makes sense. But back to what I was saying about the quoting in person, for any home service, if you have a showroom or you cannot quote, well, it's better if you have a showroom, but if you're a home service that has a showroom, like roofing, like remodeling, and you can't quote in person, you can't instant quote right there, then set up a second appointment in your showroom. If you don't have a showroom, you do something like windows, you do something like gutters, siding, you don't have a showroom, set up a second appointment a couple days later where you show up back to their house with the price and try and get a yes. That's it. Being able to do that objection handling in person does numbers. And please don't shortcut showing up to a homeowner's house. Show up. If you've been really doing a lot of over the phone quoting and doing those types of things, I don't recommend it at all, for the reason that it's hard for a homeowner to commit. For example, when have you ever bought a car over the phone? Like, you call into a dealership and they say, hey, the new Honda Odyssey is going to be $20,000. Now, I don't know if that's for real. But you call over the phone, you call a car dealership and they say, or you inquire about a Honda Odyssey and they say, yeah, the Odyssey's $20,000. Is that sound okay? And so you're getting them to basically buy the roof, the remodel, the window, whatever it is, in person. Or you're making them buy it over the phone. Nobody buys a car over the phone. Nobody does that. And quite frankly, the way roofs, the way remodels, the way windows are looking, it's basically the same price. So imagine buying one of those things. Imagine buying a car over the phone. It's quite hard to. And most people don't do it because they want to go in person. They want to speak with you. They want to see the agreement. They want to see what they're buying. They want to test drive it. They want to sit in it. They want to like take a couple photos of it. Like they want to experience it before they're purchasing it. And if you can offer that with a showroom, with at the very least handing them the shingle, handing them, or not handing them, but like taking them over to the countertops and letting them feel the countertops, letting them feel the faucet, letting them feel the sink, that is a game changer. And like I said, we're the marketing people, stoymedia.com. If you're a home service business that has the crews, has like 1 or 2 salespeople, is just looking for leads and appointments to kind of get yourself up there to that number, then stoymedia.com, feel free to reach out, or there'll be a link in the description to book a call. But like I said, we're the marketing guys. Take this sales advice with a grain of salt, and I honestly hope this helps you because we both win when you win. Have a blessed day.